Hey, it's Timmy. I've got some questions, or a question that came in, but I've had multiple people ask this question, so I thought I should do a little short video to answer this question because I think it's a great question. And I don't know if I've addressed it like maybe throughout my videos, I've dropped hints about this, uh, but I wanted to directly answer this question that I've been getting lately. By the way, hey, Timmy Gibson, former fundamental evangelical, Bible thumping, tongue talking, Holy Ghost rolling pastor. Did that for 30 years, spent 48 years as an evangelical Christian. So here's the question: how do you maintain friendships with Christians while you're deconstructing, while you're walking away from faith? Man, that question I get a lot. And I think this video probably will really be helpful. Uh, though it's not, it's not rocket science. Clearly, I'm probably not telling you anything you wouldn't have figured out on your own or are figuring out on your own. But that's what this channel's for. I went through the deconstruction process. I'm now in the what I would call kind of reconstruction-ish process. Started 7 years ago for me. 7 years ago, there's no way I could have done this channel. Everything was too raw. Everything was too you know. But now I'm far enough past that I feel comfortable talking about it. How I maintained my friendships. One, I'm not a combative personality. That's just not my personality. It's not how I am as a person. Like I can be around someone, which I was just the other day. I was around someone and he's a Christian, and he said, he was talking something about God and something about the Holy Spirit was, talking to him. And he was like, thank God, and this, he's just doing you guys know, if you come from the circles I come from, or any like uber Christian people, they just have a way that they talk, and it's very Christian. They use a lot of the Christian lingo. You know the thing, okay? You guys know. You know what I'm talking and so he was doing that, and he knows what I believe, and I could tell, like, at one point when he was saying some of the stuff, he looked at me and he said, well, that's what I believe. And which was fine. I didn't expect him to do that. I didn't say anything, and I wouldn't have said anything. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like it's my job. I don't feel like it's my job to, uh, correct anybody. And I definitely am not a debater type person. That's why I'm so shocked by some of the so confrontational. Not all Christians are that way. Some of the comments below by Christians are great. I've gotten emails from Christians, and they're very kind. That's fine. I don't mind that. But you all know the comments. You've read the comments. You've seen those Christians that are just a-holes. Uh, but that's not my style. Even when I was a Christian, I clearly had moronic beliefs, but I wasn't like that. I just wasn't like that. I'm just not a combative type person. I really do believe live and let live. Like, if you want to believe in God, go ahead, right? If you want to believe that speaking in tongues is some kind of a heavenly language, it's not. But I mean, you can believe that, right? I mean, you can believe whatever you want to believe. Uh, just don't tell me I got to believe it, and don't make laws in the nation that subscribe to your religious views. Clearly, I don't. Obviously, I don't support that. Uh, So one, I'm not a combative person. So it's it's fine. And I'm in the Midwest, man. I'm in Kansas City, so I'm around, most everybody you can, you're always around Christians, like I am. Like I'm always around Christians. And a lot of them don't even know what I think. Now these are people, these aren't like close friends. I mean, these are like acquaintances. They don't even know, they don't know. And a lot of them, I think, still probably assume I'm a pastor still. You know what I mean? Like some of them just don't even know. In fact, I had someone just a couple of days ago call me pastor. And I was like, I'm not a pastor anymore. And they're like, you do weddings, don't you? I was like, yeah, but I'm not a pastor. Anyway, um, so that's the first thing is I'm personally not a combative person. So my advice would be, you know, live and let live. Like, if you have Christians in your family, you don't need to try to get them unsaved, like you don't need to win them over to the atheist side, because here's the thing. See, I don't view atheism as a side. Like, now, I think Christianity is, though. Cuss and discuss below. You can argue with me here. Um, because Christianity clearly is a religion, and in the tenets of the religion, Jesus said, "Go ye on to all the nations and preach the gospel, and those who believe will be saved." And so that's the whole thing, right? It's all about evangelism. It's all about converting people. So, like, that's a thing, and you can't deny that, right? Go into all the world. Hello, like that's exactly what it's all about. Atheism is not that way. And you say, Timmy, you're preaching. Yeah, I mean, I you got me. I'm not. That's true, but I'm not preaching to win people to my side. And I mean, if you think that, I mean, you're free to think that, but you're just wrong. I mean, you know what I mean? Like you're wrong. That's like 100% not at all what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is tell my story, resonate with those who are already questioning their faith, resonate and be helpful for those who are walking away and deconstructing from their faith. Like that's my audience. Because I would tell you, if you're a Christian, what the you listen to my channel for? You don't need to be listening to my channel. I mean, if you like it, that's fine. But I'm not trying to win you over. Now, I'm sure I make a lot of sense, right? And I know I get emails from Christians that have said that like they say, I find it hard to challenge some of the things that you say. Like some of the things that you say make sense. And and that's fine too. Again, I'm not trying to convert anybody. I really am. I'm just not. I can just, Scout's honor. I'm not trying to take a Christian and make them walk away from their Christian faith. Um, Now, if I'm trying to do anything for a Christian, I would say, don't be a moron. Like, don't be a weird, stupid kind of Christian that believes in things that like don't be a Christian that's like the Earth is flat. Okay, like don't be that because then that's just going to make you look ridiculous. Because the Earth isn't flat. So, so if I have any kind of an agenda or a goal for Christians, it would be just that. Like, just don't be a moronic weirdo Christian. That other than that, keep being a Christian, believe in God, love Jesus, all you want. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Like that's fine. That's you know what I mean. I really just don't care. Now, where I do have a real like heart to help is for those of you like me who are really questioning your faith and questioning your belief and questioning your imaginary friend and like all the stuff. I think you're right on. I mean, that's clearly what led me where I'm at today. Is I finally allowed myself to ask the hard questions and to not seek the answers from, you know, Christian apologists or theologians, but except for Bart Ehrman. I do like Bart Ehrman a lot. He was actually very helpful for me. There's a guy named McClellan. Um, what is that guy's name? I can hear him saying it in his videos. He says, "Hi, I'm so and so. I'm a scholar of the Bible." Well, McClellan, I think, is his name. He's a scholar of the Bible. His name is skipping my mind. His first name. It'll come to me probably by the time I get done with this video. Um, I really like his stuff. Matter of fact, um, gosh, I wish I could remember his name. I just know it's McClellan is definitely his last name. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, think, I think he might be Mormon. I think which is wild. That is wild to me, because honestly, like when you listen to him, I would have sworn he was atheist or at least agnostic. Uh, Doug McClellan. It's gonna come to me. Anyway, I love his stuff, uh, and he does mainly just shorts. He doesn't do anything over. I think the longest video I've seen him do was like 15 minutes. Um, Clearly, he's not a preacher. I hardly have any videos under 15 minutes. I feel like I just get started at 15 minutes, as you all know. Listen, we all have our flavor, right? We all have our thing, you know. That's my thing is I am not short-winded. I actually heard a preacher say this one time back when I was an evangelist, you know, traveling around and speaking. They said, "Blessed are the short-winded, for they shall be heard from again." And that's a true statement right there. Uh, I learned that early on. Believe it or not, I know I'm long-winded now, but when I was a preacher, I was on a tight schedule of keeping it short and sweet. Given, what do they say? There's another statement I heard someone say. Don't give people so much that you know you wear them out. Give them just enough that they want more. You know, I really love that. I love that idea for sure. So anyway, you know, I'm not contentious. So so my advice would be, don't be contentious. Don't always. You don't have to talk about religion and faith. You know, you don't need to win over your Christian friends or your Christian family. And you know, you might have to do what I did with my parents who are Christian. Is I just told them sweetly. You know, I just said, I mean, not that I was always sweet. There have been times where I got very like heated because they kept trying to preach at me, and I was like getting really sick and tired of being preached at. But I finally had a conversation with my parents, and I just said, guys, like, listen, I love you all, I really do. I just don't believe it anymore, and so I really would ask that you would just respect me and respect my beliefs. You know, I don't tell you that you shouldn't believe in God, and I expect you to not tell me that I should believe in God. So that's that. I'm trying to think what else would be helpful. I just didn't talk about it. You know, I know who I can talk about that stuff with and who I can't. You know, there are friends that I have. There's a couple that I can think of right now that they're in my head right now. I cannot bring up anything religious. I can't bring up anything uh, like I could never tell him about or never have a conversation with him about um, being an atheist. I mean, he knows that I am, but we never talk about it. Like, never talk about it. We literally talk about everything other than that. And because we're good friends, we have a lot in common outside of that. And just like I said at the beginning of this episode here, Christians, usually specifically the evangelical types, it's their everything. You know, they can't have any kind of a conversation about anything without it seeping out, right? And I would say this, that being said, what I had to learn to do is not take stuff personal. When someone talked about if you don't accept Jesus, you're going to go to hell, or you know, rather than taking that as an attack, you know what I mean? Rather than taking that as rather than taking offense to that, like I'm offended, you know, I'm offended that they're saying that. I I just didn't do that. I just I I just didn't take offense. And so when they would say stuff, now I'm not gonna lie, early on I did take offense, uh, but I learned pretty quick to just not take offense and learn, study, read. That was another probably a big part in my journey that was so helpful, is that I'm a reader. I read when I'm. It depends. I usually read at least a book a month. Sometimes I read a book a week. It just depends. I've done 2 books a week, but that not for an extended amount of time. But by the end of the year, I average out to read 15 to 20 books. By the end of the year, uh, and I'm not a fast reader, so it's not like I can speed read through books. And I typically like to read. I don't. I do listen to books, 100%. I totally listen to books, but that's not the only way that I consume books. Like I'm a reader. I like to hold it in my hand, and like old school. Like I still journal. I'm still that guy. I still like to have to write with pens and everything, paper. All right. So ask your questions down below, and if there's anything I'm left out, uh, ask your question. Um, you can also email me your questions too. My email's in the description of my bio on my YouTube channel here. Um, yeah, that's how I maintain my friendships. Is I stayed a good friend. I didn't. I was never contentious. I wasn't argumentative. I remained open-minded, supportive, respectful, loving, kind. All those things really helped me maintain my friendships. Now, I have to be honest. I did lose some friends. Uh, you know, several. I mean, I definitely lost several friends, and and I would say most of my friendships with the uber fundamental right wing conservative type Christians, most of those friendships, if they stay, if I they we stayed friends, they definitely changed. Like the friendship changed at bare minimum. Uh, so yeah, there you go. Like, share, subscribe, do all the stuff. I do have a Patreon, and you know what? Thank you so much. I will do an episode where I actually call out my Patreon subscribers. Sometimes out of privacy and whatever, I don't do that. I'm not really sure. I'm new to all this stuff, and so I've seen other channels that will mention the people that are Patreon members. I have no problem doing that, but I don't want to do that when if someone doesn't want me to do that. You know what I mean? They don't want their right hand to know what their left hand is doing, kind of thing. But I do have a Patreon, and it does really help give me more time and everything to do this. If you don't have Patreon or have a way to do that, I do have my Venmo link there. And of course, sharing the video. That makes all the difference in the world. It really helps the algorithm, and it helps my videos reach more people. And yeah, do let me know. Oh, and finally, I'm done. Facebook, Timmy's Deconstruction Community. If you're going through the deconstruction process, or you're agnostic or atheist, we'd love to have you in the group. It's a bunch of great people, great discussions. It's kind of becoming a kind of a little family gathering in there. All right, guys, peace. Appreciate you.